So, Mary, it is
Yes.
already September of 2015,
Unbelievable.
and welcome to Comm Chat.
Yes.
I'm Ralph Merkel.
I'm Mary Ashlock.
And joining us today, Dr. Michael Cunningham from the Department of Communication.
Yes.
And-
Right upstairs.
Yes.
Correct. We are in the Strickler Hall studio, and I also want to mention Comm Chat brought to you exclusively with Nikon equipment now. Thank you, Nikon, for all the cameras that our students are using.
It's beautiful.
So, right upstairs, Strickler Hall. Michael Cunningham, you have been at the University of Louisville for decades, am I wrong?
It's my 29th year. I believe.
29th year, amazing.
Yeah, I've survived.
That's amazing.
It's a gauntlet. At 30, they kill me, and then they feed me to the students. That's what I've heard. I don't know.
We'll watch out for you this next year. Well, and you are what I consider to be one of our, and I'm not making this up, renowned researchers at the university. So
We've issued denials.
Yes, yeah. So we're interested in having you tell students about what you do. Certainly they see you teaching Comm 315, interpersonal communication.
They should.
Yeah, and met some students hear about some of your things
I
there.
teach the interpersonal. I teach some of the methods courses, both 316 and 617 at the graduate level. I teach mass media and close relationships. I've also taught personality, interpersonal communication at the graduate level. A lot of different courses over the years.
Especially paired with your background as a psychologist. Tell us about the research you're doing or have done recently this past year. If you can just grab a few ideas.
I work on a lot of different projects, and although originally I got into academics because I wanted to be a theoretician, it turns out I became a statistician because I'm fairly good with analyzing data and designing studies. So what we've been most heavily involved in recently was a study on adolescent pregnancy prevention and relationship enhancement. So in collaboration with Dr. Anita Barbie from the Kent School of Social Work and others at the university, we had a $4.8 million federal grant to deliver various programs that were intended to reduce the likelihood of adolescent pregnancies. One was called Reducing the Risk, which is a non-abstinence-based pregnancy prevention program. A second one was called Love Notes, and that was a relationship focus. It also had pregnancy prevention, but it also involved other things like how to choose a good partner and how to make better choices in the conduct of the relationship, so you've got some additional skills. And we compared that to a control group, which was called the Power of We, which was a community building activity, but didn't say anything about pregnancy prevention. And so we recently looked at the year-long data from that program, focusing specifically on 3 months out and 6 months out. And what we found was that both of the programs that were intended to have an effect did, in fact, reduce the likelihood of sexual activity, increase the likelihood of condom use and birth control, reduce the number of sexual partners, all sorts of good things. We've got other dependent variables that we intend to use, but right now we're very happy to know that at 3 months and 6 months, the programs are highly efficacious. They taper off in effectiveness at 12 months, which may mean that when you only have 2 weekends to work, you can't expect it to last for a full year. So we intend to see for whom these were more lasting effects and whom they were not. We also intend to go back at 24 months and see what's happening with the kids as well. So we had the opportunity to meet 1,400 great kids throughout the community, mostly underserved populations, including both refugee and foster kids, as well as other kids from single-family homes. And we want to see now which programs work the best for which kind of kids. So we're continuing to do our data analysis on those issues.
So from someone who would say, oh, academics, they're in their ivory towers doing research, and they might be discovering new things that they can tell us about, but how does it have an effect in the real world?
We're trying to stop 14-year-olds for having babies.
So yeah, my point here is, though, I mean, the research you're doing has actual effects in the real world and can...
We can measure those effects in terms of number of pregnancies. And one of the things that we find is that we can give, especially the underserved population, information about life planning and where to put personal relationships in the course of all this, and how possibly certain kinds of activities might get in the way of their plans. And if we can get them to think longer term, they can take better control of their life. And then we give them the skills to negotiate appropriate behaviors at different points. So Yeah, we're really trying to have a direct impact, although we continue to cycle back to the theoretical issues as well. We want to go back to the ivory tower.
Well, yes,
but we
but-
still want effects
Yeah.
on the ground.
But applied research is what gets the attention in Grandma Hill.
And you get the,
Or am I
I mean,
wrong?
the federal grants,
Mm-hmm.
especially for that. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done, as we know, in that area,
Yeah.
nationwide.
Well, the United States has had a decline in its rate of premarital pregnancies and teenage pregnancies, but we're still number one.
So yeah, here we
and
are.
That's not necessarily where we want to be, and Kentucky is right down there pulling down the mean of the population. So
And how much longer do you have with that grant?
we've got a one-year extension on
One-year
it, so we'll
extension,
have
okay.
we'll be wrapping it up next year, and then we'll move into implementation and statewide and things of that sort if we can. All depends on funding
Yes.
and politics.
Right, and with the results you have so far, it'll be interesting to see where you go
Well,
with
they
more
continue
funding.
to put a lot of money into the totally ineffective abstinence-only based programs. As a dad, I can understand the sentiments on that, but as a scientist, I want to see what works and what doesn't. You put money behind what works, and you don't put money behind what doesn't. We're not personally invested in either of the programs that we tested, but we can say, yeah, those actually have an effect on kids, whereas some of the other programs, they just don't.
If you had to think back to the research you've done over the course of your career here at the university, what has been the most intriguing thing you found? The most, wow, I did not expect that.
Oh, I don't look for it. The thing about that is that the whole notion of surprising means you have a bad theory. If you do your preliminary work and you do your preliminary thought and you deploy your methods right, you try to avoid surprises. Surprises are when your solutions explode in your face. You don't want that to happen.
I see.
So you do the pilot work, and you may find that you were mistaken or you need to refine your ideas, but whoa, I didn't know that was going to happen. I can't remember many instances of that. Maybe little things that I expected to come out more strongly, or things that came out a little stronger than expected, but not really startling. Gosh, I should have thought of that before.
Well, how about the most satisfying then, or the
Yeah,
one that you think has the most effect out there in the real world?
Well, it's been interesting. What's gets a lot of attention is everything I do on attraction, and the fact that we can mathematically predict who's going to be attracted and who isn't, and that this holds cross-culturally continues to be satisfying. While the challenge has always been to say, no, we're not saying that everybody sees everything the same way, and no, we're not saying that all cultures are different. It's actually a blend depending on the variable. So it's a challenge of communication to get people to see it with the same level of complexity. There is a tendency to want to simplify things down to a level past reality. And then hold me responsible for things I never said.
Well, and we enjoy it as faculty because we see Michael getting published in all these great journals, and then we see his name anywhere from the New York Times, CNN, and Cosmo with all these attractions. And so students say, look, here's Dr. Michael Cunningham in Cosmo, and we'll, oh my gosh,
I'll
here
talk
he
to
is.
Cosmo. If they want to know what I found, I'll be happy to tell them.
Yeah.
Better that I tell them than somebody who doesn't actually know what I found. So
Yeah.
we'll try to get the word out there. And one of the interesting things there is the message is that about half of everything having to do with physical attractiveness is controllable, and the other half is probably biological, but you can do a lot with things like as simple as a smile. That's a 10% change in your physical attractiveness.
We
rating.
tell people, yeah, smiling can
Yeah.
add to your credibility as well, depending upon the
Absolutely.
situation. So
Yeah, so we've got culturally variable and culturally specific outcomes. Things like body weight, for example, they do vary tremendously from culture to culture. And also within this culture, we find differences in what body shapes are most attractive. So we've got some universals, some specifics. We are on both sides of the line on this. Nothing is simple, but it can be figured out.
Okay, one last question.
Fascinating.
Do you have advice for students who might be new to U of L, new to Comm Announce, new to Comm Chat, as far as hearing information from experts? What is the secret to success to be a good college student from a professor who's taught here for 29 years?
The secret to success is have an open mind and work hard. Both of those things I think are equally appropriate. If you're a communication major, study a wide range of different communication modalities, the production aspect, the expressive and aspect like PR, the scientific aspect like org comm and health comm and interpersonal comm. Each of those are a component, and makes you a broad and well-rounded communication major. At the same time, although it's fun, don't get deluded thinking that it's all fun. You got to put in the time and do the homework and put things inside your head so that when you're called on the spot to answer a question, you'll be able to answer it, whether it's from a professor or a future employer. You want to be ready for whatever comes your way. I think we can prepare people who are receptive to that and put in the time, and they come out and do a great job for us.
Words of wisdom
That
from
was
Dr. Michael
excellent.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us in
thank
the,
you.
the
Great
first
way
Comm Chat of
to start
2015,
2015, to start off
16.
the school year, yeah.
Okay, and we'll see you next time. I'm Ralph Merkel.
I'm Mary Ashlock.
Thanks for joining Comm Chat.